You've been lied to your whole life. Lied to by a society that glorifies chaos, celebrates burnout, and treats exhaustion like a badge of honor. Everywhere you turn, the toxic message, go faster, do more. If you're not moving, you're losing. It's fed to you in ads, in classrooms, in boardrooms, and in the fake grins of influencers who confuse hyperactivity with high performance. But let me be real with you. Speed, unexamined, uncalibrated speed is not strength. It's not strategy. It's sloppiness with a fresh coat of paint. It's the guy lifting heavy weights with terrible form. Sure, it looks intense, but give it time and the whole thing breaks down. Do you ever notice how the people screaming about hustle the most are the ones getting nowhere fast? You see them grinding every hour of the day, chasing dopamine, switching paths every 2 weeks, never sitting still long enough to hear themselves think. They're sprinting on a treadmill, calling it a race, but they're not getting closer to any finish line. That's because movement isn't progress. Movement is easy. Any fool can stay busy. Progress requires direction, vision, and above all, restraint. That's what they never tell you. That slowing down, pausing to reassess, having the guts to wait is a form of power that few will ever master. Because you know what speed really is? It's often just fear in disguise. Fear of being still, fear of being forgotten, fear of being left behind. So people fill their calendars, multitask themselves into oblivion, chase one distraction after another, anything to avoid confronting the uncomfortable truth that they don't actually know where they're going. Now, you put that person up against someone who's calm, intentional, deliberate, the game is over before it starts. Because the one who moves with purpose isn't just reacting, they're calculating. While the rest are spinning their wheels, they're positioning their next 10 moves. And when they strike, they don't need to do it often. One clean decision, one sharp move. That's all it takes. Ever romanticized hustle so much, we've forgotten that kings don't rush, generals don't sprint, architects don't scribble. The most powerful people in the world, they speak slowly, they walk slowly, they plan obsessively. Why? Because they understand something most never will. You can't build an empire by moving like a maniac. Speed might get you noticed, but slowness gets you remembered. So tear up the blueprint they handed you, the one that says you have to run 24/7 to make it. That's not strategy, that's survival. And you weren't born to survive. You were born to dominate. And domination requires control. And control begins the moment you realize slowness is not your enemy, it's your edge. Let me get brutally honest with you. There was a time in my life when I was addicted to acceleration. I wore busyness like armor. Calls, flights, meetings, deals, every second filled with noise. I thought if I wasn't constantly in motion, I was falling behind. That's what the world teaches you. If you pause, you perish. If you stop moving, someone hungrier, faster, louder will take what's yours. And for a while, it looked like it was working. Money came in. My calendar was packed. My name was getting attention. But behind the flash, I was eroding. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't building. I was reacting. I was just playing defense in my own life. People confuse activity with effectiveness. They think the one who yells the loudest wins. The one who posts the most wins. The one who burns out first must have burned the brightest. But that's not power. That's panic dressed up as productivity. So I made a move that scared people. I slowed down. I disappeared. I walked away from the noise, the feeds, the crowded rooms, and I entered silence. Real silence. The kind that makes you face yourself. The kind that strips away the persona you've been performing for the world. No applause, no updates, just you and your direction. And it was in that silence that I found something violent and sharp: clarity. Not the kind of clarity you find in books or podcasts, but the kind you find in the stillness of your own focused rage. I started thinking 10 times deeper. My mind became surgical. I began to see patterns other people missed because they were too busy chasing everything and catching nothing. When I came back into the game, I wasn't fast. I was precise. I didn't move often, but when I did, it shook the room. Because every move was calculated. Every action was loaded with purpose. And I wasn't reacting anymore. I was executing. On my time. On my terms. See, when you slow down, you give yourself permission to master the terrain, to see every angle, every threat, every opening. You stop being the pawn and you start moving like the king. You develop something rare in this frantic world: command. The world bows to people who don't flinch, who don't run, who don't chase, people who wait, people who think, people who are silent right before they strike. That was the turning point. I stopped being busy and I started being dangerous, because when you slow down, you stop playing the game, you redesign it. You're no longer just trying to survive the day, you're orchestrating an empire. So when I tell you that slowness made me ruthless, I mean it. It removed the distraction, it killed the noise, it stripped me down to focus. And focus is the purest form of power. Most people are too impatient to discover what they're actually capable of. They rush past their own greatness, trying to look productive. But me, I move slow, I see everything, and when I move, it matters. Any amateur can sprint. Any average mind can keep busy, filling up every hour with tasks just to feel like they're accomplishing something. But let me tell you something raw and real. There is nothing strategic about being frantic. Strategic slowness is not about doing less. It's about doing with deliberate intensity. It's about stripping the noise until all that's left is the signal. When you move with speed alone, you're gambling. You're throwing darts in the dark, hoping something hits. That's what most people do. They react, they jump, they rush into decisions without truly understanding the terrain they're playing on. They're in constant motion, but the outcomes? Sloppy, wasteful, unaligned. But when you move with slowness, that's tactical. Everything changes. You start to think like a sniper. A sniper doesn't spray bullets wildly and hope for impact. He takes his time, observes, breathes, waits, because he knows the first shot might be the only shot and it has to count. That's not hesitation. That's supremacy. And supremacy comes from being willing to slow down and own the moment with absolute clarity. Think of the chess grandmaster. They don't win by making moves fast. They win because they're 20 moves ahead, reading the opponent before the opponent even knows what they're doing. Strategic slowness gives you foresight. It gives you dominion over time. It gives you space to assess, recalibrate, and strike when your position is unshakable. Most people are too afraid to slow down because they associate it with weakness. They think if they pause, they'll be forgotten. If they hesitate, they'll be overtaken. But that fear is exactly what keeps them ordinary. They move fast because they're insecure, because they don't trust their own judgment enough to sit still and see clearly. But the elite, they don't panic, they don't rush, they engineer their moves. They know that one calculated decision made with total awareness outperforms 1,000 rushed ones made in desperation. When I slow down, I don't lose momentum, I build leverage. I let the impatient burn themselves out trying to look productive, while I invest that time in learning the battlefield, in understanding the psychology of my competition, in refining my execution. So when I finally step forward, it's not guesswork, it's domination. Strategic slowness isn't about inaction, it's about refusing to waste your energy on noise. It's about choosing lethal precision over scattered motion. You become surgical, not sloppy, intentional, not impulsive, powerful, not panicked. The world respects those who command their pace, who dictate their tempo, who show up with moves that are too sharp, too clean, and too inevitable to be ignored. That's what slowness gives you. Leverage over time, control over chaos, and the power to move only when it matters most. A strategic slowness is not laziness, and it's not indecision. It's the highest form of discipline. In a world that's constantly screaming at you to move faster, to do more, to be everywhere at once, choosing to slow down is not just radical, it's tactical warfare. It means you've stopped playing by the rules written for the distracted masses and started writing your own manual for domination. Anyone can be quick. Anyone can jump at the first opportunity, say yes to every shiny thing, chase trends like a dog chasing traffic. That's not mastery. That's desperation dressed up as ambition. But when you practice slowness with intention, When you deliberately hold your fire until the exact right moment, you elevate yourself from participant to architect. Because the truth is, when you're always moving fast, you're relying on luck. You're throwing your time and energy into the wind, hoping something lands in your favor. That's not a strategy. That's a survival mechanism. But slowing down? That's how you start engineering outcomes. You stop living off adrenaline and start living off calculated momentum. When you slow down, you start noticing details others miss. You pick up on body language in a negotiation. You sense hesitation in your opponent. You hear the flaw in the plan, the crack in the market, the weakness in your own process, and you fix it before it costs you everything. Fast movers miss that because they're too focused on motion, not meaning. Slowness lets you choose precision over noise. It forces you to think, and thinking deep, rootless, unapologetic thinking is what separates kings from pawns. While the herd rushes to execute, the strategist observes. While others exhaust themselves, the focused few are conserving energy, building insight, and waiting to strike where it hurts the most. You know what scares people? Someone who moves with silence. Someone who's not easily provoked. Someone who watches chaos unfold without flinching because they've already calculated 10 outcomes and fortified their position. That's what slowness builds. Not fragility, not hesitation, but an inner calm so powerful it radiates dominance without a single word being spoken. In combat, in business, in life, the one who moves fastest is not always the one who wins. It's the one who moves with intention, with clarity, with an understanding that time is a weapon, not a weakness. Strategic slowness is how you stop being reactive and start becoming inevitable. You don't follow the tempo set by the world, you set the rhythm, and when others realize it, it's already too late. The mind of a true warrior isn't frantic. It isn't loud. It doesn't rush. It doesn't react to every impulse, every comment, every crisis. It calculates. It waits. It watches. It knows that real power isn't found in how fast you move. It's found in how deeply you understand before you move. And that kind of understanding only comes when you slow down long enough to see the full board, not just the flashing lights in front of you. The modern world is addicted to immediacy. People chase instant gratification like oxygen. They want immediate results, instant wins, quick praise. But what they don't realize is that those who win big truly win, are playing a long game that most people don't even have the patience to understand, let alone play. Strategic patience is the currency of high-level thinkers. The immature chase intensity. The seasoned embrace timing. Control isn't about domination through speed. It's about mastery through restraint. The one who can sit still in the face of chaos. The one who can absorb pressure without breaking. The one who can delay gratification in favor of precision. That person is terrifying. Because while others are burning themselves out in a rush to feel relevant, the warrior mind is building. Quietly, relentlessly, unshakably. A lion doesn't waste energy chasing every mouse in the field. It walks slowly, with focus, with intention, because it knows its power. It knows its time will come. And when it does, there's no wasted motion, no flailing, no second chances needed. One strike, clean, final. That's what slowness gives you, the ability to choose your battles and, more importantly, to win the ones that matter. It separates the reactionary from the revolutionary. It allows you to sit back and let others exhaust themselves on emotion, noise, and speed, while you remain centered, grounded, and lethal. The warrior mindset doesn't panic. It's not influenced by temporary noise or fleeting wins. It's focused on legacy, on domination through depth. It's about knowing exactly who you are and what you're aiming for and refusing to be pulled off course by people who can't even sit with themselves for 5 minutes in silence. You know why they rush? Because silence confronts them. Because stillness exposes their lack of plan. Because patience feels like pain when you have no purpose. But when you've trained your mind to think like a strategist, patience is power. You stop being controlled by time and start using it like a weapon. You begin to move in rhythms that suit your mission, not someone else's expectations. You learn how to make decisions that last, that stick, that shift everything, not because you made them quickly, but because you made them from a position of clarity, not chaos. That's why slowness is strength, because it gives birth to control. And control, real control, is what turns ambition into rain. The warrior doesn't shout. He doesn't sprint. He doesn't need to. His calm is louder than noise, and his timing is deadlier than speed. Here's what I want you to understand with absolute certainty. The world doesn't need more people running faster. It needs more people who know where they're going. You've been conditioned to believe that movement equals progress, that busyness equals value, that urgency is a badge of success. But that's the mindset of slaves to the system. Individuals whose time is constantly hijacked by notifications, meetings, demands, expectations that don't even serve their purpose. You weren't born to be a slave to speed. You were built to master time. And mastering time begins the moment you burn the addiction to hurry. You stop apologizing for not responding instantly. You stop measuring your worth by how many things you crammed into one day. You stop letting urgency dictate your decisions. Because when you live in reaction mode, you're always dancing to someone else's tune. You're never leading. You're never choosing. You're just surviving. People think urgency is power. No. Urgency is panic dressed in ambition's clothes. Power is silence. Power is choosing your pace, even when the world is screaming for you to rush. The strongest individuals aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who do the right things at the right time with ruthless precision. You don't dominate life by speeding through it. You dominate it by owning it. That means you control your mornings. You protect your focus. You design your days around your mission, not distractions. You train your mind to slow down your reactions so your responses carry weight. You build momentum through structure, not chaos. You master delayed gratification because you know that depth, not dopamine, builds empires. You burn the rush culture because you're no longer seduced by the illusion of movement. You're not interested in being everywhere. You're interested in being effective. And the moment you start choosing slowness with strategy, you separate yourself from the masses who are too impatient to matter. Start walking like your time is sacred. Start speaking like your words are currency. Start thinking like every decision you make writes your legacy. When you stop letting time control you and start using it with intention, you elevate yourself beyond competition. You become inevitable. You want to stand out in a crowded world? Move differently, think deeper, slow down, because the ones who move with calm certainty in a world of panic, they don't follow trends. They set the tempo that everyone else scrambles to match. So now you stand at a crossroads. One path is familiar, fast, loud, chaotic. It's the road most people take. They rush, they react, they burn out, chasing a finish line they can't even see. And then there's the other path, the one fewer choose. The one that demands stillness, patience, and brutal self-control, the path of slowness, strategy, sovereignty. Let them mock you for moving slow. Let them laugh because you don't rush. And then watch how they run themselves into the ground while you build something unshakable. Because slow doesn't mean soft, it means precise. It means intentional. It means inevitable. In a world ruled by noise, become the silence that commands attention. In a culture obsessed with hustle, become the force that moves only when it's time to conquer. Stop chasing the race, start mastering the rhythm. Because when you slow down with purpose, you don't just move ahead, you redefine the finish line. So move slow, move sharp, move like you were born to reign, because you were, and it's time the world remembered that.